Story 1. Self-sabotage. Our anxiety is skilled at making us believe that we are not worthy or good enough. It feels like an addiction to be constantly hesitant and discouraged about ourselves. It is truly disheartening. If you are reading this, just remember that you can do it, and I believe in you. Story 2. Sugar addiction is a challenge I struggled with for years. It requires complete elimination from your life. Story 3. Video games have caused many parents to notice that their teenagers can become violent and abusive when they are restricted in a manner that exceeds typical tantrums. Additionally, when daily play bonuses and in-game gambling, such as loot boxes, are included, it creates a dopamine disaster waiting to unfold. Story 4. Work. I know that sounds strange, but at least in the United States, being overworked is associated with being a good person. For many individuals, their jobs fill the emotional gaps developed during childhood. At least in a dysfunctional job, you receive payment, unlike in a dysfunctional home. Story 5. Caffeine addiction can lead to minor physical withdrawal symptoms such as headaches, and individuals may become quite dependent on it. However, this topic is often overlooked. Story 6. Alcohol receives too much of a pass for the damage it does to our bodies. I rarely drink, and when I do, I can feel my body being harmed. Story 7. Replying to this post with the most basic addictions known and discussed, despite the original poster asking for others. Cheese. Story 8. I can guarantee you, as someone who used to be one of them, many people are addicted to guns in America. All I could think about was the next one I was going to get, the one after that, and all the accessories I could buy for them. I never thought about hurting anyone. But even still, it's a massively unhealthy addiction that changed the way I think and drained my bank account. I decided years ago I would own only one and only ever touch it in life or death scenarios, and I've stuck to that ever since. Story 9. Social media. I'm sure there are many comments echoing the same sentiment, but let's break it down. What you see on social media is a distorted version of reality. I could discuss the filters that women use on their images or the false appearance of wealth when they cannot even afford basic necessities at home. However, I would prefer to focus on the idea that the online profiles and appearances individuals project often resemble the characters in video games. People tend to associate themselves with brands, celebrities, and trends that are popular rather than what they truly like and find interesting. Many people wear clothes that seem ridiculous but are endorsed by celebrities, prioritizing popularity over personal preference. For example, look at Balenciaga. Much of what appears on that site seems increasingly absurd and may be a social experiment to see who is naive enough to fall for it. Another aspect to consider is that, nowadays, individuals often prioritize relevance and fame over good morals, positive actions, and appropriate behavior. Today's role models, unlike those from 50 years ago, often exemplify what not to emulate. We see many such individuals on reality shows. There are young people who believe that fame and relevance outweigh family ties, education, friendship, and genuine human interaction. Some content creators cannot engage in normal interactions because they have structured their entire lives around being in front of a camera. As a result, genuine interactions become awkward, as they focus on entertaining a camera rather than connecting with the person in front of them. Young influencers sometimes behave like public nuisances because it has become normalized that they can act foolishly in public without consequence, influenced by role models who prioritize fame over morals. There is even an individual in the United States preparing her 13-year-old daughter for a career in the adult industry. Certain online communities promote inappropriate behavior among minors, encouraging them to establish their public profiles before reaching adulthood, so they can quickly gain followers once they are legally able to join platforms for content creators. 3 years ago, I underwent an identity crisis during which I felt I was becoming a distorted reflection of the facade I presented online. This experience severely impacted my mental health and self-image. After taking a 6-month hiatus from all online platforms, I was able to recover and reconnect with my own reality in today's world. It is disheartening to see that social media exposure is becoming increasingly prevalent. I find it much harder to form meaningful connections because young women are influenced by female influencers who set unrealistic standards for men, such as earning over $1 million annually or adhering to superficial physical characteristics, like being 6 feet tall or taller. On the other hand, some voices promote unreasonable expectations for men, which can be interpreted as misogynistic and unrealistic. This creates a cycle where young males, influenced by such content, believe women must conform to certain standards, ignoring the fact that not everyone is the same. If every male aspired to emulate extreme figures, their inappropriate behavior could become the norm, and women might perceive individuals like that as the antithesis of what a man should embody. I realize I have expressed strong opinions about the downsides of social media, but it has evolved beyond communication into a platform where individuals are pressured to conform to specific ideals. It feels as if we have become subjects in an experiment on online disassociation, gradually accepting behaviors that once seemed unacceptable as somewhat normal. Story 10. A precisely curated desire for self-destruction exists alongside an awareness of its consequences. Echoes of the past, often labeled as mythological, reveal the distortion of logic and perception that has occurred over time. The consequences are vast. We struggle to develop our senses of taste, sight, smell, touch, and hearing, as they have been compromised by the previous hierarchy's misguided pleasures. These senses have been stripped away, leaving remnants lost in the primordial mist, or, less poetically, taken by unseen forces. Discovering these hidden aspects of ourselves is a true wonder. Tracing back their layered roots and myriad expressions is another remarkable experience. We exist as only a fraction of our true potential, subsisting on meager scraps of our own inventions, which leaves us with an insatiable hunger for the other parts of our being. We know, on a deep and visceral level, that something essential is missing from the complete template of existence. Although we have some strategies and philosophies that have yielded results, they have not fulfilled the deeper yearning we experience. We can attribute our plight to deities that are less divine and more like committees exerting control over their subjects. Ironically, these subjects are also the deities' own reflections in lower forms. The time for reckoning has arrived. Their resources are dwindling, and they soon will be running on empty. We represent their natural remedy, their only hope for survival, despite their tendency to create further calamities for their continuation. Their vast resources, which they once relied upon, are now their only gamble. In a side note about repetition, when an error is recognized, it extends into a new sentence that feels less like a mistake and more like an opportunity for sustainable action. Taking inspired action in light of such realizations is essential. Otherwise, we risk stagnation until inevitably faced with a wall. Story 11. Lying is a behavior that some individuals engage in excessively, causing it to become compulsive or an automatic response. This tendency can lead to negative consequences in their lives. Story 12. I would say alcoholism is a significant issue in society. While it is discussed, we often do not acknowledge its far-reaching implications. I believe a substantial percentage of the population struggles with alcohol dependence, yet as a society we tend to overlook this reality. Story 13. Phone internet addiction is a real issue. I know someone who never puts their phone down and even falls asleep with it in their hand. Story 14. Caffeine. Drinking coffee or energy drinks all day, every day is completely normalized. I enjoy caffeine, but I really don't like feeling overly stimulated. Story 15. Being desired is particularly significant for women. Social media serves as a primary source of validation for most women. It is remarkable how prevalent this phenomenon is and that it is being introduced to children. This situation undermines relationships every day. Story 16. Crack is apparently still a thing. Social media or anything that triggers dopamine can be an addiction. Story 17. Nose drops. I have been dependent on oxymetazoline 0.05% sprays to keep my nostrils clear for about 15 years. I cannot stop using it. Story 18. It is socially acceptable to spend all your free time sitting glued to the television. Not for me. I am going to read my book. Story 19. The constant need for attention from mostly strangers. The majority of people connected on social media aren't truly friends in real-life situations. Story 20. Some topics that are not often discussed include adrenaline, driving fast, and engaging in extreme activities such as skydiving or free climbing. These are examples of thrill-seeking behavior. Being inconsiderate can also provide a rush for some individuals. It resembles a scenario where someone thinks, "Look, when I push this emotional, psychological, or social button, I get a reaction. How cool." Philanthropy is another aspect to consider. Kindness can be as much of a compulsion as unkindness, often for similar reasons. We experience a dopamine rush from performing selfless acts to help others. In a similar vein, philosophy can become an addiction. I refer to it as the hamster wheel for my brain because it doesn't lead to any tangible outcomes. It simply goes in circles, yet it remains enjoyable. Exercise can release endorphins and dopamine, making it equally addictive. However, I have maintained considerable self-control in this area. I have a pet theory regarding problem-solving and figuring things out. You know, the age-old stereotype of the misanthropic genius, like Sherlock Holmes or Dr. Gregory House. My theory suggests that a highly gifted child may experience a significant rush from quickly solving problems and learning new information. They receive constant praise for their intelligence, leading to excitement. However, there are two challenges. First, dopamine exhaustion occurs. The rush of learning and problem-solving can deplete the brain's receptors. Eventually, the experience loses its thrill and becomes a monotonous chore. Additionally, there's the social isolation that arises from lacking common interests with peers. While others discuss baseball cards, the Super Bowl, comic books, and last night's television programs, the gifted child may ponder the fourth dimension and philosophical concepts about human intellect. They might contemplate free will while their peers are still focused on a popular movie. The frustration of not being understood, even by adults, can be disheartening, not because the child is inherently so smart, but because their thoughts venture into complex areas. This often leads to the need to explain concepts multiple times or to feel stuck waiting for others to catch up when all they want is to move forward. It is clear why characters like Sherlock Holmes and Dr. House may become jaded, frustrated, and completely disillusioned in their later years. Story 21. Socializing. You don't have to attend the work social, the Christmas party, drinks after work on a Friday, or any other events. You can do your own thing. I am happiest when I am by myself. Story 22. Sugar and caffeine. I have a high caffeine tolerance. Yes, I'm speaking from experience, and I still drink coffee, just not as much as I used to. Story 23. Coffee, not even caffeine, but coffee. The addiction of sitting in drive-thrus every morning before work and after work is so strong that people even go out on Christmas morning. Story 24. Those thousands of dollars are not a complete waste, considering you are now aware of the issue. In a way, it has served a purpose, even if the reward has not yet been reaped. Many go for years and decades without acknowledging their desire to improve themselves. You are a step ahead, which is significant. You can do it. Story 25. Being sad can sometimes attract attention, and some people may appreciate the kindness others show when they are feeling down. However, it is important for individuals to take steps to help themselves improve their situation. Story 26. Discounts or good deals often lead to situations where older individuals purchase items they do not need, driven by the excitement of acquiring them at a lower price. Story 27. Fake social interaction and parasocial relationships. I have been watching and listening to ASMR videos for over a decade. The videos I enjoy typically involve some kind of process, such as a doctor exam, a haircut, or energy clearing, which I find relaxing, even though I do not believe in it. The viewer in these videos is portrayed as a blank slate, not defined by gender, and maintains no real relationship with the creator, except in roles such as a patient or client. However, there seems to be a concerning number of people who seek out videos labeled as ASMR, which often involve the creator pretending to be the viewer's girlfriend or boyfriend. These videos feature creators comforting the viewer, using pet names and nicknames, making kiss sounds, and providing affirmations. Additionally, many videos have sexual themes, such as titles like "Sweet Girlfriend Comforts You to Sleep" or "Gentle Elf Maiden Takes Care of You." The idea of watching or listening to a video where a person pretends to be my boyfriend or girlfriend, engaging in such behavior, makes me cringe intensely. Yet, there are individuals who consume this content to the extent that they cannot sleep without hearing a fake character express love for them. This behavior has many examples, but this is the one I observe nearly every day. We are replacing authentic affection with fake videos online, not just social interaction, but genuine affection. This cannot be healthy. Story 28. Addiction itself jumps from one subject to another. When it shifts to exercise, people believe it is positive that the individual is becoming healthy and changing their life for the better. However, it can take over their life and relationships, just like any other addiction. Story 29. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. You will not die if you eliminate them from your diet. Simple but challenging. Story 30. Cocaine, sugar, phones, vapes, anything that provides an instant reward or an immediate dopamine rush. Story 31. Nasal spray initially helps clear your nose when you have a cold. Before you know it, you find yourself needing it daily to breathe. Story 32. I almost ended up in bankruptcy court because I couldn't say no to people asking me to buy them unnecessary items. Story 33. Drama and conflict can often stem from unprocessed trauma. Some individuals struggle to navigate life without either living in constant chaos or creating more turmoil. While I have a great deal of sympathy for the hardships they have faced, their behavior can also be quite draining. Story 34. Ultra-processed food, also known as factory food, refers to the calorie-dense but nutrient and fiber-poor products that have been replacing real food for the past 50 years. Story 35. Consumerism can be emotionally challenging when it comes to resisting the urge to purchase items. Consider this. How long can you go without buying anything you don't actually need? Story 36. Pretty much everything. On the flip side, I wonder what life would be like if everyone were addicted to love. Story 37. Short videos could be on platforms like TikTok, X, YouTube, or Facebook. You might find yourself watching these videos one after another. Then you look up, and hours have gone by. You keep going back to them. Story 38. Food. Overeating unhealthy foods due to emotions. Then feeling worse because of your appearance, leading to a cycle that repeats. Story 39. Toxic relationships can lead to addiction to the emotional highs and lows. It can be challenging to disconnect from them and transition to a healthy relationship after becoming accustomed to such dynamics. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.